I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're exploring the incredible mystery of the Nazca Lines through the eyes of Anita J. Gilbert. She has written a wonderful book. It is called Maria and the Stars of Nazca. Anita takes us on a captivating journey into the life of Maria Reiche, a German mathematician whose research into the ancient lines of Peru fascinated the world. This bilingual children's book is not only a story of scientific discovery, but a tale that will inspire young minds to unlock the secrets of history. We're delighted to have this wonderful author join us once again here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her beautiful book. The links are below this interview. Anita, welcome back to Spotlight. Great to have you on the show.
Yes, thank you for inviting me again.
You introduced me to the Nazca Lines of Peru. I'd never heard of them before. You and I spoke a while back. How did you first hear about them, and when did you become fascinated by them?
Well, it was in the 1980s that I picked up a book that my husband had, uh, and I had not ever heard of them before that, but he knew about them. So I just kept noticing everything I was reading in there kept referencing this Maria Reiche, Dr. Maria Reiche, according to Maria Reiche. You know, all the pictures were submitted by her, and I thought, who is this woman? she she knows everything about this place, and I've never even heard of it. So I took out more books and read everything again. Had so much of her in there, and I became pretty fascinated with her almost as much as with the line. And most of my writing is in poetry. I found myself one day writing this poem about Maria Reich discovering these lines. And I was seeing, this is the years before Google. So I could not learn anything off of the internet about her. I didn't even know she was still alive when I was writing and reading everything. But anyway, I wrote this poem off of my imagination, and 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 then I tried. I read that she had written a book, and I couldn't find it. My libraries here couldn't find her book. It was called Mystery on the Desert. Just couldn't find it. And so I wanted to write to her and I wanted to send her my poem and ask her if I was writing anything in this poem that would misrepresent her. And but I didn't know where to send it. So I thought about it and I thought, well, if she's still alive, she's probably still in Nazca, the little town of Nazca. And and if she's there, probably everybody knows where she is because she's the most well-known person there. So, um, and I just sent it off. I asked if I was misrepresenting her, and then I was asking, how can I find her book? I wanted the book because I had read that it had drawings of every one of the Nazca figures, and I wanted those. And so in a couple of months, I get this little envelope coming back, and it says it's from Renata Reich, Nazca, Peru. No address, so I guess I was okay not to think about needing an address. And anyway, her sister wrote and said, I read your poem to Maria, and she likes it very much. And she is ordering her book for you from Germany, which is where it was published. She was originally from Germany. Um, anyway, so then I had, her permission to do something with this. I wanted to make a book for children because these drawings are just one-line drawings, just like children draw, and young children. And that's what I wanted. I wanted something that was true, um, something that could inspire children, especially girls who think they can't do mathematics. And so I just thought that's where I wanted the book to go. And so I did with the help of her book, and my artist drawing all the figures, just absolutely to scale. I told him, we're not making cartoons here because some of these are comical just as they are on the page. So, so that's how the book came out. And yeah, 20 years ago, I published that book myself.
Mm. Amazing. It's a wonderful book that you've published. I think it's a great tool for children to introduce them to art, to introduce them to history, to introduce them to one of the great mysteries of the world, because these lines apparently date back anywhere from 1500 to 2500 years, as I understand. And till this day, nobody's quite sure how they got there, right?
Well, I a lot of people today want to believe that aliens came down and created these. Maria Reiche had nothing to do with that theory. She actually did know how they created them. People, ancient people, one thing that they knew, sometimes better than common people today, is that they knew mathematics. And and through mathematics, they were able to enlarge a figure. They could draw, and they could draw this on on the desert there. And that desert is full of rocks, from volcanic rocks, like the Andes Mountains threw out all the lava. And when it hit the ground, they were all these, lava material and rocks. And that's what's making these pictures. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, the the top layer of that ground before the volcanoes were erupting was covered with gypsum, a
Mm.
light colored substance, you know, um, on the top. It's a nice light cream color.
Mm.
And then when the lava stuff came out, it was black. And so this is what we can see on the desert that creates these images. It's the white on black color. And so anyway, that we know how they were made. And then the whole question is, why were they made? And this is then where people are still trying to figure it out. I like her theory, which, because she also knew astronomy and studied the stars, I mean, out there where there's no light at all, at night, the stars in the southern sky are just brilliant. They see many more stars up there than we do in the northern sky here. And of course, it's just very clear because it's so dark there. But anyway, she knew all those constellations, and she could figure out that some of these were images to imitate some of the constellations. Okay. Well, the other thing is, when you look at these images, so many of them have these two parallel lines coming straight out of the body of the figure. Okay, like the monkey, for example. They're just two parallel lines coming straight out of the body, and then it's not just that one, but almost all of them. And this then looks like making of a labyrinth. Labyrinths were always in the ancient world, religious ceremonial walks, where they would walk the lines asking for whatever they needed. And of course, here, what they needed desperately was rain, because it never rains there. One good rain would have washed all these images away a long, long time ago, you see. And so it's very, very arid. And how did they get their water? It was from the snow melt. So all of this 35-mile stretch is right up against the Andes Mountains. And the snow from the mountains then is what would provide the water for them. And they learned how to make these aqueducts that they still use there. Yeah. In Nazca, the little town of Nazca is 11 miles away. And they capture all this water under the ground so that the sun doesn't evaporate it. And then they have aquifers that take this water all the way into the town of Nazca. I saw this when I went there because I was shocked that here it was. I went in January, which was, summertime there, and everything was in bloom there in that town, where I was staying. The avocados were there on the tree, the bougainvilleas, flowers, everything. And I asked the woman that owned the posada there, how do you water all these? You don't get hardly any rain. And she said, oh, did you not see my well? She told me in Spanish. She showed me her well. She said, we all have wells. And the water comes from the Nazca Desert, where the images are on the ground. And I didn't know about those. Yeah. I didn't know about those wells. And later, I have seen them now. I have seen on TV.
It's an amazing phenomenon. It's an amazing story. And the fact that you've broken it down for children to enjoy and understand, I think, is a terrific job. Wonderful work. The name of the book is Maria and the Stars of Nazca. Anita takes us on a captivating journey into the life of Maria Reiche, a German mathematician whose research into the ancient lines of Peru fascinated the world. This is a bilingual children's book, so it'll introduce them to Spanish if they're not a Spanish speaker, and it'll introduce them to English if they're not an English speaker, which is a wonderful aspect of this work as well. It is not only a story of scientific discovery, but a tale that will inspire young minds. Anita, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Yes. And I'll also say that there's audio in this book as well. The QR codes are there now that I didn't have 20 years ago. And so they can learn to hear the language and learn to speak it from there. Thank you so much again.
Oh, wonderful. And thank you for letting us know about the QR code in the book, so you can listen to this book as well. And that is a wonderful bonus too. I appreciate your time, Anita. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time, this time until next time on Spotlight.
Thank you.